Hello, welcome to this week's EMBN Show, where I have news of a brand new Nikolai bike. Plus, we'll be heading over to Italy to catch up with Steve.
Thanks, Neil. Well, we're at Riva del Garda Festival in northern Italy, and where we've been covering all the tech and the Bosch eMTB challenge the last 3 days. I'm joined now by Boyce, who is actually the person responsible for introducing me to e-mountain bikes back in 2013. The event was the Enduro World Series, the first ever Enduro World Series at Punta Alla, which is kind of halfway down the west coast of Italy. And I was actually a photographer at the time, and Alex said to me, well, why don't you try an e-bike to follow the race?
I was pretty nervous. I felt like I was trying to convince you. I'd just seen you with...
Well, you did a good job.
I just saw you with Lopes, talking about 29ers, and they were risky, and I was like, oh, maybe I can get him to try one, I hope.
I mean, so the bikes back at the time, there's a picture coming up on screen now. It was it was quite a basic bike. It was almost like a shopping e-mountain bike. But trolley. Nevertheless, it enabled me to carry my 30-kilo camera bag around a World Cup event.
And you rode it down all the tracks. I've got a picture of you somewhere, I don't know where, of you riding down the last trail, the last bit of the last trail. No helmet as well.
But I have to thank you, Alex. It was a turning point. I mean, it planted the seed for me.
Yeah.
But talk to us, when was your first ever e-mountain bike ride?
It was probably about 3 years before that, and I was hooning it along on an unlocked bike along a trail.
What bike was this?
It was a Flyer, and it had a Panasonic motor on it. And I was hooning along a trail, but connecting two other trails, and it was an up and down trail, and suddenly the trail became fun. And beforehand, I'd always hated it. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, okay, this makes sense. And, and I was with this other guy, this Italian guy called, I can't remember his name now, but it was a lot. Filippo, that was it. It was a guy called Filippo.
But Alex, I've been with you all over the world at different press events for mountain bikes and e-mountain bikes. Let's go through some of the highlights over the past 12 years. I think for me, Specialized Levo 2015, definitely a bike which changed the game, right? Of course, you actually rode the Levo before I did. You were in Austria, weren't you?
Yeah, I was at the launch, and I got to talk to the engineers, and I got to see the bikes. I actually got to see the bikes before they presented to us, because I happened to wash my bike, and they were preparing them for us. And it was an interesting thing to see, because it had everything that I thought an e-bike needed when I tested previous e-bikes previous to that. So basically, I was riding the downhill track at Leogang. I did it back to back. I've got a video actually, really badly filmed one, but of that versus it was a Cannondale Jekyll, and I was like, wow, actually, this is faster than the Jekyll. And then I got back on the Jekyll, rode it out the lift, and I felt like I had the rear brake on. I was like, what the hell's going on here? So I'm like, oh my goodness, and then I was like, okay, this is a light bulb moment.
Now, if we look back at that Levo from a decade ago, 504 watt-hour battery option of 420, 75 newton meter motor, bike weighed in at around about 21, 22 kilos.
The S-Works was 19.99.
Right, okay. So here we are, right? 10 years later, so many bikes here with 600 watt-hour batteries. That's only like 100 watt-hours more, and the bikes weigh around about the same.
Yeah.
True, we've now got more power, but if you think about the fact that the bikes have now gone up to, 85 with the CX. CX is now 100 newton meters, and yet they're making these bikes with battery capacities which aren't that much more than a decade ago.
Well, sort of. The cell densities have changed. So, for example, I think the greatest cell density now is around 300 watts per kilo. And I know there's a brand here who's got that, that's Ascol. I think DJI have the same ones. I don't think Specialized do. They made a different choice. But a lot of it's on cell quality, and they do a lot of testing to get these. It takes a year to test a cell to make sure it's good for e-bike use.
I suppose also it's worth mentioning the fact that we've got 800, 900 watt-hour batteries. The range extender has become the thing, hasn't it?
Yeah. And I think that makes sense, the range extender.
Does it, though? I mean, I suppose for me at 95 kilos, I can use, I can go for a reasonably long ride, say hour and 45 minutes with a 600. I guess I then have the option of having a range extender, takes it 850. I'm going to probably go on a 2.5 hour ride, flat out in turbo mode.
Well, only 5% apparently, according to Bosch. I think only like 5 or 10% of people actually use turbo. I think it's like the majority of users. I think they said 75 to 80% of users are under 300 watts of power.
Exactly. I find that incredible, right?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Another stat for you. Apparently, 94% of bikes in Germany sold, mountain bikes, are now e-bikes.
Wow.
It's an incredible...
94%.
It's an incredible statistic. I need to look into more detail. Next question, Alex, is not only how far have e-mountain bikes come, but why have we become distracted, obsessed with power? It's only in the last year. I'm sorry. But why, though? We were not having these conversations 12 months ago.
I think, so this is my opinion, okay?
Obviously.
That basically, based on some facts, I can pull out documents of like messaging. I think basically there's new pretenders that have been trying to break into a very established market now.
You can mention names, Alex.
And they went, well, actually, they went for the way to grab the attention of...
Alex is talking DJI, by the way.
They went to grab the attention of the market by using big power numbers, and
do you think so?
Yeah, well, that and some clever marketing with the right people, and where I think it's quite complex how they got there, but I've looked at it, I've been standing on the sidelines watching it for a long time, and basically I don't think that they're necessarily doing a favour to the end user, because if I take my mother, for example, and I give her a bike, and I forgot to turn it down on the app, and the dynamic range, tune, and all of this stuff, she's going to have a bit of a handful there. I had another friend who weighs 45 kilos riding with me, and we couldn't even get her to start up a gravel road hill. I had to push her because there was too much power in the system and it was no traction. So...
Okay, so I guess where you're going with this is the potential new regulation for e-mountain bikes, which is going to cap the power at 750 watts, the torque to 100 newton meters.
But that's America anyway.
That currently exists in America, right? So there's lots to talk about. Surely shouldn't we be focusing on speed rather than power? Because why disadvantage maybe a 100, 120 kilo rider by reducing the torque and peak power?
Well, there was a discussion about making the regulations on weight base, so you'd sit on the bike and there'd be a sensor. And
that's too complicated.
Yeah,
sure.
But that's apparently something that was discussed.
Yeah, it's funny because like we've shifted the focus from something which was riders wanted more speeds because 25 kph was too slow, and now everyone's suddenly forgotten about the speed thing and moved on to we need more power now.
But, I mean, if you ride one of these really powerful bikes, like something that's equipped with something like 110 newton meters, you'd probably find yourself at 25 kilometers an hour in a few seconds, like a Tesla.
Just to wrap this up, Alex, I think something I've been talking about on the channel recently is the value of ride time, which is all down to the efficiency of the e-mountain bike system.
Yes.
There's lots of great efficient systems out there, such as the Bosch, the DJI. I mean, they're all pretty good, right? But I think people forget about this, and it comes back to your point earlier, which Bosch research said that very few people ride in the full power modes.
Yeah, I mean, I think basically you've got to have fun on the bike. I like riding bicycles, whatever they are, and if I wanted to ride a motorbike, that's another whole world, so I'd rather keep them separate. And
I love a good walkthrough. Fantastic.
So basically,
I think it's time to wrap up this. Alex, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Steve.
And thank you for introducing me to e-mountain bikes.
Lots of big news in the e-mountain bike world. I'm sure you've seen the video Steve has been putting out from the Riva del Garda festival, including also that new Bosch update, new power numbers that are coming in July, software updates for your Gen 5 motors, and that new CXR race motor, or CX race motor, should I call it? So super interesting stuff. And it continues with a brand new bike from Nikolai, the S18 Swift. So this is their big hitting enduro bike. 180mm of travel front and rear, pretty sizable. Mixed wheel size bike. It's got the Bosch CX motor. It's got a closed down tube with a 600 watt-hour battery fitted in there. Like I said, sort of downhill geometry, 63-degree head angle. It's aluminium bike, as all Nikolai's are. It's a full power super enduro, they're calling this. It weighs 23.7 kilograms for size medium. This S18 Swift is available as a complete bike with a build kit to match. And you can also sort of customize it via their online configurator. They're also offering this as a frame-only kit as well. So, we've said this before, but there aren't many e-bikes you can buy as a frame-only kit, so I like that option. If you do go for the full build kit, it comes with a Fox 38 factory fork, Float X2 rear shock, Magura MT7 Pro HC brakes. There's actually the option to go with the Bosch ABS Pro anti-lock brake system as well. That's sort of the updated version, which I've never tried. I would love to try that out. Big brakes on this bike, 220mm front rotor to go with those Magura brakes, 203 on the rear. It's also got this new Bosch Kiox 400C mini remote control unit. So this is sort of, it's been teased for a little while now. Lots of bikes come in with this fairly large, a rectangular cutout on the top tube. And now we see exactly what was supposed to go there. And I think this looks really neat. I also like the option to be able to run that, potentially get rid of your remote up on the bar and just use that for a super clean setup. So the Nicolai S18 Swift full bike, I can only find the euros number for this, but it's 10,999 euros, and I couldn't find the price for the frame only option, but it's probably worth digging around. In other news, Met and Bluegrass have partnered with the Finale Outdoor Region. So it's a place that we've been a lot of times. Steve goes there every other week, I think, by the sounds of it. But it's a great place for riding e-mountain bikes. It's become really, it started with it being an enduro destination, so people flying in from all over the world to go and ride enduro, but they have really embraced the e-mountain bikes. And you can even charge your bike up on the beach, and there's loads and loads. I can't remember the number, but I remember Steve saying the number of specific e-mountain bike climbs there, it's got to be more than anywhere else in the world. And what a beautiful place to go and ride your bike. So really cool to see Met and Bluegrass help them out. Basically, this will contribute to the maintenance of those trails and support the Finale Outdoor Region Consortium and promote an increasingly safe and sustainable outdoor experience for mountain bikers, which I'm sure we can all agree sounds like a great thing to be doing. Right, into cool places. We're kicking off with Dave Allen, who has been making the most of perfect trail conditions in the Chiltern Hills and stopped to take this picture in the Wendover Woods. I've heard of that spot, sounds really good. It's great to have the light evenings again and being able to get out after work for a power hour. Yes, I'm definitely on board with that. We've had some amazing conditions in the UK. It's been crazily dry for the last month or so. It's like a mini summer. So it's really nice to get out. I've been really enjoying riding as well. And another place, well, that looks amazing is Mitch has been out riding Rusty Trombone in Pemberton, British Columbia. Conditions are all time in Pemberton, BC right now. This is a fun black trail with lots of rock rolls. I mean, that looks amazing. I've said it a load of times. I've been lucky enough to ride Squamish. I would love to get up to sort of that neck of the woods in British Columbia, particularly to ride an e-bike, because I bet some of those rock slabs, they're so grippy. I'm sure, we've seen some of the climbs already, but I can imagine that is a dream place to ride your bike. So thank you very much, Mitch and Dave, send them in. If you've got some cool places, use our uploader, link is down below this video, you should find it. Send us where you've been riding. Now into feedback. Last week's show, me and Rich talked about some of the speculated sort of regulation that is coming, and could the laws change our bikes, talking about limiting to 750 watts peak power and 100 newton meters of torque. Loads and loads of comments, 200 and something I think, so thank you very much for getting involved. I do read all of them. Try to reply to as many as I can, but there's loads there and it's super interesting. There's a lot of agreement in there, I've got to say. Kev B says, I'd much rather have a higher speed limit with less power than more power, and the current speed limits stay the same. To be honest, also, I think having a cap is inevitable. I think so. Otherwise, it's sort of like Pandora's box, isn't it? Like, I think you have to try and stop it. I know that didn't happen in Pandora's box, but I think, in order to keep our trail access, we've got to do something about it. Kev goes on, and in a way I support them doing it so manufacturers can focus on reliability, waterproofing and efficiency rather than how powerful they can make a motor. Agreed. I think we said that as well, didn't we, last week? When Lambo Tommy? I don't know, sorry, I've absolutely ruined that name. Here we go. More power means you get the disappointment of 15.5 miles an hour limit quicker. Sweet. That had quite a few thumbs up, so lots of people agreeing there. Yeah, interesting. Let's keep the conversation going. I'm sure there's going to be more chat further down the line, but still love to hear your opinions. Now, I found this in the uploader actually. So a question here from Dave, who has had some issues with a Bafang motor. Dave says, 3 weeks ago, whilst out on my local trails, the QECP, is that Queen Elizabeth? I can't remember. That's the place. I'm sure I've ridden through there on the South Downs Way. Anyway, I digress. Dave says the torque sensor crankshaft sheared off. Further investigations and complete strip down shows other fractures in the shaft. I bought a Vitus e-Mythic just before Wiggle went bust. A bit of a nightmare, that, I suppose. However, the Bafang FM 510 motor is still less than 2 years old. I've emailed them 5 times to only get one reply to find out the model serial number. Other than that, they've not been interested. So yeah, that sounds like a bit of a nightmare, Dave. What I would say, because you're in the South UK, as far as I'm aware, we have been to the e-bike motor repair centre down in Ringwood. I don't want to sound biased because definitely people have recommended other places, a place up in Cumbria. But as you are fairly local, I would go and speak to those guys down there. I'm sure they can help you out with that. Even if they can't, they're very helpful. I'm sure they can point you in the right direction. So definitely get involved with the e-bike motor repair centre. Right, heading into the bike vault to check out your bikes, and we're going tropical. This is Brian in Hawaii, riding a 2024 Turbo Levo. I upgraded it with a new Öhlins 38 170mm fork, and to balance the travel, I added a pedal hound's rear bracket to allow 160mm travel in the rear. Supported by the Öhlins coil shock. That's great. Shout out that. I've not heard of this pedal hound's rear bracket. I've seen people making crazy cool linkages for things like Specialized stump jumpers. Is it Williams Racing Products? I'd have not heard of that one for the Levo, but super interesting. Brian also says, I've also upgraded the tyres to Continental Hydrotal with Cush Core inserts. It feels safer and easier to bomb big downhills, and surprisingly makes technical climbs much easier as well. Sending you all warm thoughts from the Aloha State. Cheers, Brian. Super nice bike. And that looks like an amazing place to go out riding an e-bike as well. Absolutely spot on. Next, heading east over to Slovenia. This is Vijaka's bike. This is a Radon. A nice bike ride near Celje. I'm sure I said that right. In Slovenia. Radon Deft 8.0. Nice. That looks great as well. I've ridden in Slovenia. I've ridden some amazing trails around Maribor. Beautiful place as well. Next to Malik's bike. Now this is cool. It looks to me like a John Player special paint job on this bike. I'm guessing that's custom. So it's the first ride on the Giro trails in the UAE, United Arab Emirates, on my newly bought Polygon TLE lightweight eMTB with Bosch SX motor, 55 Nm of torque. Like I said, with that amazing paint job. What was that? Was it Lotus with the John Player special? Was it an old Formula One paint job? I think it's super cool. Super nice. Next up to Dave Thompson, who's been out on his Cube Stereo Hybrid 140 HPC SLX 750. Cube, one of those brands that love a massive long name, but great looking bike. Dave says, I recently broke a saddle and watched Steve's old video on ergon saddles, decided to give one a go and haven't looked back since. 300 kilometers on the new saddle and no complaints. This photo is from a 45 kilometer session in a local forest called Campinos in Warsaw, Poland. Oh, amazing. Thanks for the support as well. I know we sort of do go on a bit, but Ergon, for example, is a partner brand here at EMBN, and without those people, those brands, it wouldn't make this possible. So thank you very much for buying an Ergon saddle. Also supports us, so I really appreciate that. And I'm actually heading out to Poland. I'm going to the UCI Downhill World Cup in just about a week and a half as well, so I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more of Poland. Next we have Radu, who is riding, it's like a high bike. Is it the high that I was talking about earlier, I think. Radu says, after a few changes, it's a fantastic bike. I don't think that if an e-bike was I think that if the e-bike was a few kilograms lighter, it would also be good. Sorry, completely ruined that. But nice, thank you for sending that in, Radu. Next up, a very cool looking Trek Fuel EXC 9.8, and Exo Grip says Stealth. It does look good. It almost looks like dark green, but is that black? I don't know. Great looking with that lyric sort of gold decals on the stem and the track as well on the down tube rear like that. Super nice. Last in the bike vault this week, we've got Justin and this All Bear Wild. Cool story to go with this one as well. Justin says, last October, I had the chance to spend a week and ride with All Bear pro rider Ben Moore in the Spanish hills near Alicante. As we are the same height, he kindly let me ride his 2024 Carbon All Bear Wild M Limited. Fast forward to now, and I never imagined that I would now own that very same bike, and I've been riding it on UK trails. The bike is fully spec'd out, as you'd imagine. SRAM XX group set, electronic shifting, XTR brakes with Galfa rotors, Fox 38 forks, 750 watt-hour battery, and the Bosch Performance Line CX motor, race motor. Ooh, interesting. It's my first dip into the world of e-mountain bike, and I'm loving it. Cool, Justin, welcome aboard, and that is a great bike as well, super nice. Right, to getting social this week, I found a couple of crackers, I think. First one is from someone called Sendy Lou who it looks like is actually called Owen Tim. And look at this climb. So this is on a Marin Alpine trail with Bosch motor and making it look super good. And those kind of climbs kind of sketch me out a little bit. Especially at the moment with my dodgy knee, that I've kind of just recently had to jump off the bike going up a super steep climb, but love watching it and a bit of a stoppy back down, super cool. Now, this is a really nice one, I thought, from Pedal Power Marple, who do bike repairs, but check out this hack. It's a basically sort of 3D printed thing that goes around that, you know, we've seen this in the past with enduro races where you get your quick link, so your spare power link, whatever we call them, for SRAM. So if you snap your chain, people who race sort of often use electrical tape to just wrap them around their front cable on their bike so that it's handy. It doesn't rattle around, but then if you do snap your chain, you can just fix it straight away. Pedal Power Marple has got this really cool sort of 3D printed holster, is that the right word for it? I think that's super neat and really cool. So it's well worth following Instagram, I believe. Right, that's it for this week's show. Coming up this week, Steve is talking about gearboxes. And I went over to North Carolina a couple of weeks ago and I did a tour of the Industry 9 factory. So that is coming this weekend. Thank you very much for watching and get involved in the comments down below. Always love reading them and I'll try and reply as well. Cheers.